Grant County shooting ruled murder-suicide.
Target stores closing in Canada. I'm Amir Mansour.
And I'm Lily Howder, and this is your Public Eye News. Webster Elementary School in Escanaba went into lockdown this morning after a student reported a man with a gun on campus. The school was put on lockdown in accordance with procedures and public safety was called. Public safety said the student thought they saw a person with a gun drive by the front of the school, but that at no time was the gun pointed at the student or at the school. Public safety found no sign of the car or gun that the student described after viewing surveillance tapes. Once the officers deemed that danger wasn't present, the lockdown was lifted. Early this morning, a four-wheeler was found on the ice by two snowmobilers at Ludington Park in Escanaba. The snowmobilers went closer to the four-wheeler and found something under the ice, which was later determined to be a body. Local authorities and the Delta Search Rescue and Dive team came and recovered the body. The body was identified as an older man, but no information will be given until the family has been notified.
37-year-old Thomas Swick of Ishpeming has been charged with possession of meth. Swick was arrested in October along with Tiffany Rushton for a bust on East Elucid Street. After pleading guilty, Swick has been sentenced to 330 days of jail time along with 24 months probation. Rushton is still waiting to be recharged. Ronnie Smith, a convicted sex offender of Marquette County, has been sentenced to jail after months of delay. The 38-year-old was sentenced from 13 to 30 years in prison. Smith was convicted of second-degree sexual conduct with a 13-year-old along with 2 counts of child sexual abuse. After delays due to his plea bargain, Smith opted to proceed without the plea.
Governor Rick Snyder has vetoed bills on e-cigarettes regulation, stating that Michigan should not, quote, step on the toes of the federal government, end quote. The proposed bills would have prohibited e-cigarettes from being regulated as tobacco products and prohibit the use of e-cigarettes by people under the age of 18. Snyder said in a statement that the regulations would confuse the public by sending them a mixed health message. A shooting earlier this week in Grant County, Wisconsin has been ruled a murder-suicide after sheriff's officials investigated the scene. 27-year-old Morgan Slate and her 6- and 8-year-old sons died after being shot in the head on Tuesday. Officials said there is evidence that the mother handled the gun. The family had been living with Slate's sister ever since she was estranged from her husband. And after the break, national and international news. Stay tuned.
Coming to Independent Lens. 5 U.S. soldiers stand accused of shocking crimes.
At the time, it wasn't far-fetched. It wasn't bizarre.
Unarmed Afghan civilians picked out, stood up, shot.
What happened to these guys? Why are they all okay with this?
In the fog of war, what turns a good soldier bad?
It was impossible not to surrender to the insanity of it all.
The Kill Team. Tune in Monday night at 10 o'clock Eastern.
And welcome back to Public Eye News. The missing Mars robot, the Beagle 2, has been found intact on the Mars surface. The UK robot landed on Christmas Day 2003, but never made contact after. After NASA's orbiter detected the probe, pictures taken indicate that it had not reached full deployment at the time of its launch. The Beagle 2's budget was near 50 million euros, one of the cheapest missions ever. After 2 years of hype, Target is closing its operations in Canada. Having lost nearly $1 billion in its first year alone, Target will shut down all of its 133 Canadian stores. Target's failure in Canada has been attributed to overestimates on the potential market and improper product placement. All Target stores and operations will close in Canada as the year continues. Parents of 19-year-old Mohammed Khan have accused social media for brainwashing their son into supporting ISIS. Khan was arrested in O'Hare Airport in October after attempting to fly to Istanbul. A surprising letter to his parents stated that he was leaving the U.S. to join the extremist organization. He has pled not guilty for an attempt to provide support to a terrorist group. Khan's attorney has stated that the internet brainwashed the young man into joining ISIS.
Security forces across Europe are launching operations to prevent new terror attacks after police in Belgium killed 2 suspected terrorists last night. CBS's Marley Hall has the latest from London.
Police in Belgium, France, and Germany arrested more than 24 suspects in anti-terrorism raids today. Intelligence sources tell CBS News Belgian police are on a manhunt for several more people who trained with Islamic State fighters in Syria. Security forces raided a suspected terror hideout in eastern Belgium last night and say Islamic militants came out shooting before police killed 2 of them and arrested a 3rd.
Certain suspects immediately opened fire with automatic weapons at the special forces of the police.
Authorities found assault rifles, bomb-making materials, and police uniforms at the scene. They believe the suspects were hours away from carrying out a large-scale attack on Belgian police. Officials say they have found no link between the plot in Belgium and the attacks in Paris last week that killed 17 people. Secretary of State John Kerry visited the French capital and said Americans stand in solidarity with France against Islamic extremists.
I wanted to express to you personally the sheer horror and revulsion that all Americans felt.
Friday, hundreds turned out in Paris to celebrate the life of the editor killed in the newspaper massacre at Charlie Hebdo. Marley Hall, CBS News.
Duke University has changed plans to allow Muslim students to shout prayers from the campus chapel bell tower. Vice President for Public Affairs and Government Relations, Michael Schoenfield, wants people to know that the school is still interested in being inclusive and tolerant of all students. Muslim students will gather outside the chapel and then move to the basement where they have been saying Jummah prayers for many years. Another alleged victim came forward saying that Bill Cosby sexually assaulted her. Chloe Goins said the actions took place when she was 18 at the Playboy Mansion. Cosby has had no charges filed against him, but Goins' lawyer Spencer Coven believes his client has a strong enough case to press criminal charges and says, quote, Mr. Cosby should and will be held accountable for what he's done, end quote. Cosby's attorneys have strongly denied the allegations.
The band commonly known as The Dead is reuniting for 3 shows to celebrate their 50th anniversary. The band has lost several members since their inception, including guitarist Jerry Garcia, who died in 1995, Ron McKernan, the singer, organist, and harmonica player in 1973, and keyboardist Keith Godchow, who died in 1980. The band's biggest hit was the song Touch of Grey, which was released in 1987 and is the group's only top 10 hit. Producer and manager Kim Foley has died at the age of 75. Foley was best known for launching the 1970s band The Runaways, was suffering from bladder cancer. Foley spent over 50 years in the rock industry, working with artists like Paul Revere and the Raiders, Modern Lovers, Blue Cheer, Kiss, and Helen Reddy. And after the break, we'll be back with the weather and sports. Stay tuned.
Coming up this week on High School Bowl, 2 more great games. The first features 2 high schools who are about as far east in the UP as you can go without falling into Lake Huron. Those would be the Red-Eared Bulldogs and the Cedarville Trojans. Hi, I'm Jim Koski, and then in our second game, the Superior Central Cougars return to take on the mighty Hunters of Watersmeet, the Watersmeet Nimrods. That's coming up this week on High School Bowl.
Welcome back to Public Eye News. My name's Dane Wormlinger with your local weather. It's still pretty chilly outside, everybody, so make sure you're wearing a hat and a nice warm coat, as you can see behind me in the Academic Mall. Right now in Marquette, it's about 17 degrees with partly cloudy conditions, with winds north at 7 miles per hour. The barometric pressure is holding at 30 inches. Looking into tonight, you can expect snowy conditions with a low of 9 degrees and winds south at 12 miles per hour. Looking into tomorrow, you can expect snowy skies with a high of 34 degrees with winds south at 11 miles per hour. Looking around the UP right now, in Sault Ste. Marie, 9 degrees with sunny conditions. In Manistee, 15 degrees with cloudy skies. 18 with partly cloudy in both Escanaba and Menominee. Looking into Iron Mountain, we can see 16 degrees with sunny skies, 16 degrees with partly cloudy skies in Ironwood, and up north in Houghton, 15 degrees with partly cloudy skies. And back here in Marquette, it's 17 degrees with partly cloudy skies. Let's take a look at your week ahead. On Sunday, you can expect a high of 30 degrees and a low of 20 degrees with partly cloudy skies. On Monday, a high of 26 degrees, a low of 17 degrees with cloudy skies. And on Tuesday, a high of 24 degrees, a low of 15 degrees with snowy conditions. Well, Dan, it's still pretty chilly outside, but you know what's starting to heat up? I heard the Red Hawks are.
Yep, the Red Wings are getting red hot. Last night, the Detroit Red Wings put on a show in St. Louis and came away with a beautiful overtime win. Detroit's win was its 4th in 5 games and capped off their away road trip with a record of 4-2. Joakim Anderson and Thomas Tatar scored in a 60-second span in the second period to give the Wings a 2-0 lead. But in the third period, David Backes and Alexander Steen scored for the Blues to send the game into overtime. Heinrich Zetterberg knew that going into a shootout against the Blues team with a stellar shootout record was risky business. Zetterberg was also the one who set up a perfect screen for Pavel Datsyuk to score the winning goal in overtime with just 5 seconds left. Detroit will face the Nashville Predators tomorrow at Joe Louis Arena. Puck drops at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The Seattle Seahawks opened the season with a home rout of the Green Bay Packers. A little more than just 4 months later, it's that same Packers team that stands in the way of the Seahawks becoming the first team in 10 years to win back-to-back Super Bowls. The Packers are looking to Aaron Rodgers' arm and his 105.3 career playoff passer rating, which is second only to Russell Wilson's 109.6, to come out of Sunday's game with a win. Rodgers, however, will not be without help. Aided by a bevy of receiving options, a stronger running back in Eddie Lacy, and a stout defense that's allowed more than 21 points once in 9 games, the Packers are a more complete and confident than the one that visited Seattle in September. The game will surely feature a quarterback battle and an immaculate effort from both sides of the ball. Kickoff is Sunday at 3:05 p.m. Eastern Time. The Northern Michigan University Lady Wildcats returned to the Barry Event Center this weekend to take on the Ferris State Bulldogs. The Cats are looking to improve their record from 7-6 overall and 5-4 in the GLIAC. Led last game by senior Alyssa Kola, who scored 15 points and went 3 for 8 from downtown, the Cats are looking to repeat the magic of last season in which they won the GLIAC title. Currently, the Lady Wildcats are averaging 64.8 points per game, and they hold their opponents on average to just 61.9 points per game. The Cats will tip off at 1 p.m. on Saturday in the Barry Event Center. Just when it looks like the Detroit Pistons have turned things around, they took a big step back last time out. Their opponent for tonight's matchup, the Indiana Pacers, are also looking to regroup after letting what appeared to be a couple of easy matchups get away. Detroit tries to avoid losing 2 in a row for the first time in almost 4 weeks as it visits Indiana, where the Pistons have struggled but enter Friday night seeking their longest road winning streak in nearly 13 years. Detroit is hungry for the win tonight after dropping their game on Wednesday to a last-place New Orleans team. Tip-off tonight is at 7 p.m. Eastern Time at the Bankers Life Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana. Now, Amir, the Detroit Pistons are looking like they might go on a run here. I heard that there's a Pennsylvania woman who took an interesting run of her own.
Yeah, indeed. Thanks, Dan. But yeah, Roxanne Reimer didn't let cops stop her when she stole a cop car after being arrested for shoplifting. Reimer reached speeds of 100 miles per hour as cops in Center Township, Pennsylvania, attempted to catch her. After ditching the patrol car for a new ride, she was finally apprehended. Reimer will now face charges of aggravated assault. And scientists at MIT are now studying baby diapers to help improve high-resolution microscopes. A chemical similar to the one found in diapers may help make specimens swell better for improved imaging. You know, now one thing I don't understand is how was Reimer able to drive while, holding on to those handcuffs?
With her hands crossed like
Yeah, crossed like that. How did that work out?
That and she even stole a cop car and then got into another car.
Yeah. And what about those Pampers, who knew that diapers could help out those scientists at MIT?
I had no idea. I mean, MIT, they're all pretty much geniuses over there.
Yeah.
That's all the time we have for you today here at Public Eye News. Be sure to tune in again on Monday.
The preceding program was produced in studios located in the Edgar L. Hardin Learning Resources Center by WNMU-TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television.